Hello and welcome, my friends. If I hit all the right buttons, you're watching me live on YouTube. I do this every Friday. So yeah, if this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell. So next time you're notified whenever I go live to answer your Power BI questions. So I'm just going to do a systems check. If you are watching me on YouTube, say hi. Let me know the audio is working. Everything is looking good. There we go. I hit the button to go live on Facebook as well. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, you can watch it there. Great. I'm usually only able to monitor comments on YouTube, though. It's yeah, it gets a little tricky. So let's see, my friends. Let's see who's on, and yeah, I'm gonna hop on to the stream, see who's hanging out. And I do have some friends from the Learn Power BI family. I see Steve and Manuel. All right, Steve says audio is good. Manuel, and you know, I'll apologize. Now that the course is like 300 plus students, I can't always keep track. Remind me, how long have you been part of the course, and have you talked before?
Yeah, we talked on Monday, I think. Yeah, on Monday. I just came back. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh
Just
yeah.
a
Oh gosh, yeah. So
few
label
weeks. We're
label
May
master.
Label Man. Yeah,
Label
we're
master.
the super excited students here.
Oh gosh, and I am super excited to have you. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I know you have like big plans with Power BI, and absolutely great. Good to have you here. Florent is on as well. Hello, Florent. Thanks for joining. Mm, okay, cool. So who do we have on? I see Guy Johnson. Hello, my friend. Guy is a familiar face around my channel now. Always good to have you. Rajendra says hello. Yeah. Hey, Manuel, there's a little bit of echo, I think, from your side. So maybe lower the volume, or you can hit mute when we're not talking. All right, Sahi. Hello, Sahil, my friends. Yeah, we'll get to your questions in a second. The magma running is here. Thank you for coming back again. I remember you from previous calls. Terrific. I'm so glad to have you guys here. So what we usually do is we kind of round robin. We take one question from my students who are on the phone with me, and then we take one question from YouTube. And I do have a question that I brought in for this, and I posted it about it on my Facebook. So guys, Facebook, I usually end up posting quite often. I don't know, I find it kind of more casual and easy. YouTube feels a little bit heavier. So yeah, follow me there to get more updates from me. So I had a question I posted there that I would love to talk about. Oh, I see other class members joining as well. Heather, good to have you on. All right, so let's go to the phones. My Learn Power BI family. Do you have any questions, any thoughts, any updates? I love hearing about your wins. I have been hearing about the success. Some of you some of you have shared that with me on kind of the even the welcome calls and other interactions. So that's great. So any thoughts, comments, or wins you want to share?
Avi,
Hey,
this
Steve.
is Steve.
How
Hey,
you
I'll share just something that happened to me that was, Power BI to the rescue.
Uh-huh.
I had our financial controller come to me and ask me for some information
Uh-huh.
that was required by a regulator
Okay.
that was extremely obscure.
Ah.
That I don't think anyone would ever had ever asked for before, and probably never will again.
Yeah.
And I think that they didn't know what they were asking for, and that's why they did.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
it just so happened that I had all of the fields in my model, and I was able to provide that in minutes.
Oh gosh.
And she was pretty blown away that
Love it.
that we could do that. I mean, it just, and these are people and these are smart people that have never,
Yeah.
they're not familiar with Power BI. They just don't know
Yeah.
it's there. And then I take a little pleasure in showing it to them. I mean, I'm not one who's holding back and,
Yeah.
oh, here you go. Look, it's a mystery.
Yes.
And they see it, and then I just think it gets them thinking, at least,
Yeah.
and hopefully that they will, take the time to maybe look at it a little bit, and
Yeah.
so that was just it was just kind of a fluke, but it was good.
Yeah. No, I think, man, Steve, you made me realize why I love doing this. It's, a bit of a side story, but I really dragged my feet on having kids. I mean, like, one more year, one more year. Eventually, we did have kids, and yeah, I was still not sure stepping to parenthood. Maybe dads really are. I don't know. But of course, I've really enjoyed the experience, and it's hard, it's challenging, but I feel like my kids give me a new lease on life. They let me experience things again. The joy of summer vacation. I had completely forgotten that. Because it didn't apply, right? I mean, I was working like all year, And now it's like, oh my God, school is off, and we're all get excited. Oh, spring break. Right? So all of those things. And this, my friend, this is the gift you've given me today, because I can flash back and have this experience again. So many things you said. First of all, it was definitely not a fluke, because you're doing things the right way. I mean, you didn't say it, but I wrote it here. Model is the king, right? If you build the model right, reporting is easy. And that's the key difference between building a report and a model. And a lot of people, I see them where they get into Power BI, but they're still stuck in that old world, right? They're still just creating reports, and they make their lives so hard. But if you do it right, then you have the model. And the difference between model and report is report answers the question you're asking right now. Model answers that one, the follow-up question you're going to have, and possibly the question you're going to have next year. So this was just a demonstration of that. I mean, they came up, really obscure request, may never be asked again, but like, yep, I have the model for that. And the other thing that you shared, I do want to echo that, because that is so powerful, which you said that, I was glad to share it with them. And I'll say, when I was stuck in that old Excel world, I kept things close to my chest, So, and I feel so embarrassed even talking about it, but it did happen, I'll admit, on more than one occasion, where I was supposed to transfer a report to somebody else, but I wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel, I was important. They needed me, and I would transition the report to somebody else, but just forget to mention a key step or two, like, and then I enjoyed them coming back to me, like, hey, Avi, we're stuck here, we're trying to do the report, and that kind of inflated my ego, but that was so silly. That was like a silly exercise. With Power BI, somehow it changed. I couldn't stop sharing my stuff and let me show you how. And clearly you have that spirit too. So thanks for sharing that. What a way to kick it off. Really appreciate it.
I'll tell you, it's kind of funny. I have a couple of guys at work that are interested in this sort of thing, and I torture them. I tell them, I'm going to torture you. Come to my office. I want to show you this. And I have to show it to somebody. Yeah. So I make them watch.
Yep.
and hope, knowing that it's good for them if they learn it. And I even torture my wife with it. So
yes. Oh gosh, you're echoing. Who was I talking to? I was talking to Marty on the call yesterday. She's a new student in the program, and she was talking about showing not just her husband but her son as well, who I think is a student, that, hey, look what you can do. I totally get it. Although the odd thing is, and I want to hear from Steve, from you, maybe the others who are on the phone and on YouTube as well. So guys, Steve talked about this dynamic where we get so excited about something, we want to share it with the world, and I do that. I bring 100 people to it, right? Or let's say 10 people to it, 5 people to it. It doesn't matter, right? And I feel it. I always think of that saying where you can bring a horse to water but can't make it drink. So I would bring these 5 people on, And one of them would just light up. I mean, they would say, "Oh my God, Avi, this is like incredible," and they would totally get it. I mean, they can't, you know, and they become insatiable suddenly. Avi, give me more, give me more, give me more. But so I'm not sure what the numbers are, but there are some who are not really ready. You know? Yeah, so I see that in the faces, I see that in the question, the responses. I hear things like, "Oh, but I can do it in Excel," or some other way, or something like that, and I see this resistance, and I feel like I'm privileged being a consultant, where I can move on. I can say, "Well, I can't help you. I'll move on. I'll help the next person I can." But I realize that those who are working in a company don't always have that choice, right? I mean, you're working with the people you're working with. So, yeah, I would love to hear on YouTube and on the phone if you've seen that dynamic where two people see the same thing, but one of them feels they're not ready.
Well, I can tell you, Avi, I've got guys that are fired up. I mean, and these are people that where they see how it helps them every day. They see an application where it's going to make their life easier.
Yeah.
And they are really into it and love it. And I'm not talking sophisticated, experience with it. Just simple stuff.
Yeah.
Basic models, transforming data.
Yep.
And then there are others. And I'll tell you, it includes some of those financial people. They just kind of glaze over. So you never know who it's going to be.
Very interesting. Yeah, because when you said finance, I'm like, God, they have to love it. But you're right. I've seen that. It doesn't matter. I mean, it could be somebody who, who's not like steeped in data, but everybody does work with data somewhat. Very interesting.
I'll tell you something funny. I had a model.
Yeah.
And I sent it to our senior staff accountant, and she came back, there's no formulas in your cells. Yeah. This was an Excel file. And I said, well, it's not really a spreadsheet. It looks like a spreadsheet, but it's not a spreadsheet. And then I kind of went into the query editor and into the model, and they were just like, what is this? I mean, never seen anything like it. But hopefully they take away that and go back and ask questions.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. So I have long thought about this problem, right? Because clearly, I mean, that's my goal, to kind of touch more people. And so, of course, I have thought about like what distinguishes them. How can you tell in advance if you knew that person that, oh yeah, this person is going to take a Power BI, this person isn't? Now, I can say that it's definitely not age, because I got people of all ages in my course, and I've seen kind of young people, interns, students get excited about it, or I think our oldest student, unless somebody else steps up, was, I'm blanking on his name, but yeah, he's 70 plus years old. Retired, but very active in kind of the nonprofit world, and that's where he was using it. So age is definitely not a factor. Your current role is not a factor either. You do not need to be working with data. You do not need to be a data scientist, data analyst, anything like that, because really any role uses data. So you do not need to be kind of this kind of like a tech role already. I mean, I've seen what I call the Power BI pioneers, that movement being led by like a call center agent. Like, oh, I stumbled Power BI, started building reports, everybody took notice, and now they're calling me to do it for other departments. So it doesn't depend on age, doesn't depend on role. Of course, I've sometimes talked about and thought about the mindset, growth versus fixed. That could be it, although that's impossible to detect, and of course,
in a way, Avi, you're right. It's a willingness to learn, to see something differently.
Yes, that's right. So if it is that, of course, my next question to myself, and right now to you guys, since I'm talking to you, is how the heck can you influence that? I mean, so again, right now I kind of play the chicken. I go for the ones who listen to me. So, which I guess would be these guys. But is there a way to talk to these people, like the example that Steve talked about? One thing I have noticed is that, so two things. One, you don't, so the exact scenario that Steve was talking about, where sent something to them, and that was fair. They probably would have asked it, but certainly they can get overwhelmed. So I try to show them very little, and promise very little, because I've felt that if you kind of start talking about everything the Power BI can do, and you're telling the truth, but it sounds like what is the word, hyperbole, like it sounds too grand, like, no man, that can't be true, right? Too good to be true, kind of thing. So I show them actually little. And then what was the other thing? Oh, and I love this one. I have pulled this out once in a while. I make it seem like it's their idea. Like I would almost seem like not warm to Power BI. Yeah, so I would go into working with an Excel team, and I would change everything under the hood. I would start using Power Pivot, Power Query, and give them back their Excel report and saying, hey, it's faster to refresh now. That's all I would say. Wouldn't say anything. It's the same Excel report. And then I would say, oh, by the way, check this thing out. This Power BI, it's kind of gimmicky, but just check it out, see what you think. I mean, it does let you cross filter, show them a little bit, and the whole time kind of like almost sounding like, yeah, I mean, it's something. It's kind of this weird new thing. Just see it. And then I let them come back to me and say, Avi, holy shit, man, that was amazing. Can it do more? So I've done that sometimes. But yeah, I wonder if you guys have any ideas or tricks on that regard. Like the ones who...
Well,
yeah.
Avi, I work in a sales organization. This is Heather.
Yeah. Hey, Heather, can I actually, before you go on, are you the person with the small company with big dreams? Is that
That's
yours?
the one.
Yes. Okay.
That's the one.
So my goal, by the way, sorry,
No.
is so now I'm having trouble keeping track of all my students. So I'm thinking I'll either make up or use one of their taglines. So you are forever going to be a small company, big dreams.
That works for me.
Perfect. I like that. All right,
that works for me.
Yeah.
Well, since we are a sales organization, of course, a lot of what we do revolves around sales and selling ideas or services or what have you.
Yeah.
And one of the things we teach our salespeople to do is to look for what they call the WIFM. WIFM.
Ah, I know.
What's in it for me?
Yes, that's a big one. Tell me more.
No, it's not. It's what's in it for me.
Yeah, I've heard that phrase. So tell me more.
Well, basically, it's the idea of finding whether it's something that the client really needs fixed.
Yeah.
Or that would just make them feel better about what you are offering. Mm-hmm. So you find in our organization, we call it a pain point.
Yeah.
What is causing them problems? What is it that needs fixing, that is really driving them up the wall?
Yeah.
And then you show them, if you do X, this will fix it. So whether it's, you buy your product from me, or, hey, I can provide you with a report that these people can't provide you with.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that you can do to influence people is
I love it.
Figure out where their pain is.
Yeah.
Even if it's only in one item, and show them how Power BI fixes it.
I think I love that, and I'll share one example from me, an embarrassing example as it turns out, but I love sharing those now. One item. So I got on the phone with somebody who was kind of interested in Power BI, and I said, well, yeah, let's just hop on a call, let's talk about it. And I heard them a little bit, but then instead of focusing on this, from seeing it from their perspective, like what is it exactly that they were saying, I started talking about kind of my general spiel. And I said, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to build reports. The idea is to build a model. If you build the right model, you can have all the reports that you want, blah, blah, blah. and I didn't connect at all. It was such a giant mess. I mean, it was on the phone, but I think they had the webcam on, so I could kind of sense it in their expression, and certainly in the tone of voice that, yeah, it was a total mess. And then I did bring it back a little bit, but by then, the die was cast kind of thing. So in the end, what ended up happening was that they were looking for what's, I think, in Power Query is an anti-join. So show me what is in this table, but not in that table. And they were struggling with that. That was their pain point. And once I showed that, they went, got it. I see it, right? But by going on that whole thing about modeling reports, I mean, yeah, I was not connecting. I mean, that's they didn't see it. So yeah, I definitely, that's a good reminder for me. Thanks for sharing that. All right, guys, let's check in on our YouTube friends. So good discussion to kick it off. That was great, Steve, Heather. Love that. Let's see. So again, if you're joining on YouTube, let's take a question. Let me just scan through your comments. And all right, so let's see. Pawan Kumar is here. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. And Guy had a question. The Magma Running. Hey, Magma Running, put your name. I don't want to call you by a screen name all the time. My boss loves Tableau. Oh, somehow he's not ready to accept Power BI, but I'm pushing. Yeah, I do want to really quickly say that. Don't make it as an either or choice. Just don't. Just say, hey, check this out. Tableau is great. We don't need to replace it. It's an awesome tool. But Power BI, maybe you can use it in this scenario. Oh, look at this stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, definitely not make it a choice. To calculate table, Robert Wilson has a question. Hold on, guys. We'll get to your question. Abhishek. Okay. Yes, we have spoken before. Awesome. So, guys, I tried to do kind of a first in, first out. Didn't work. So I will say, go ahead and post your question now. If you posted it earlier, just repost it again now. So that I've realized works better. While we're doing that, maybe I'll pull up the example that I ran into. Oh, well, I'll just so I'll wait for your somebody to post a question if that would work. Okay, I think there's a slight delay on YouTube. Oh well. Okay, let's see. Let's go with the last question posted then. So Robert Wilson. Yes. Sounds like a good one. All right, so we'll say 002310. Robert Wilson is asking about how do you model data to account for almost every eventuality for reports. Surely you'll always be tailoring your data model to mold to the request by people over time, and there will never be a model that fits most scenarios for what they request. Good question. How to build a model that can answer every question you will ever ask. Of course, we want that model. I'll kind of sidestep it. I'll answer it differently. So I'll say, what happens when my user says, can I have XYZ in my report? Let's talk about that, right? So when they say that, I simply ask myself, is it available in the report layer, right? So if it is, then it's a drag and drop, right? So then it's like a drag and drop and create it, right? So I was trying to bring up a desktop file. Let's see. Where is... Ah, I don't have a good file. What is that? Okay, let's try it. So yeah, so if it is available in the report layer, I'll just create it. Easy. So this is 5 minutes. Probably. You know, you build something, and seriously, I mean, I love having people like sit down. I mean, they start talking to me, how can you build this? I'm like, sit down. And then I try to build it for them. If it's not available in the report layer, so I can't just build it, then I ask the question, is it, well, is the data already there in the model to answer this question? Already in the model, right? If yes, then usually I just need to create a measure. So they were talking about, well, we do have, like, we see kind of the customer count, but can I see the new customer count? Can I see by month? I don't want to see like, oh, there were 500 people. Well, how many of them were new? So, well, in that case, I would say, oh yeah, I have the data. I just don't have that measure. So I'll create the measure. Now, if the data isn't there, then it's heavier lifting. So the data is, if the data isn't there, then, well, then I can go to the source and fetch the data. But sometimes, this is rare, there is source does not have the data. And I'll tell you one example that is recent from one of my discussions with a student, and they were sharing their dashboard, and it had something like a kind of employee, and then what was their availability like? I mean, out of 40 hours, you know, I mean, if they were maybe assigned to projects and they were working for those, this was a high-level kind of management consulting. So they would track, like, hey, we have these people working for us, and let's see who has allocated, over-allocated, who has more bandwidth. So she had that report, and it looked great. It looked great. But then I said, man, so actually I take it back. It wasn't an employee level. It was kind of like a project level. So let's imagine, so she was trying to do like a project. Is it gonna go beyond the budgeted hours, right? So budgeted hours are like 100, and then now you'll say, oh boy, either we're already with the actual plus projected, so collected, maybe you're already targeting 120. Right? So it's red. It's not good. But I said, what if we could show how we got here? How did we get here? What did we do? Did we burn a lot of hours in the beginning, and then we were frankly dead to begin with? I mean, we burned so many hours in the beginning, so the ramp up was slow, or it started off as this, and then it's doing this. And think about it. How much of a rich story does that provide? Like, just seeing that it's over budget, but now you can actually see the story. So what would be the story for this one? Well, this is not a bad story. That, yeah, I mean, initially we were going pretty heavy, but then look, we have stabilized and we're cruising now, right? That's the story you get. But a same project with the same numbers, 100 budget hours, 120 actual projected, but if that one is doing this, then you know that, man, we messed up. We totally didn't understand the scope of the project. We thought it was going to be here, but look, it's just going stratospheric, right? So yeah, just a little bit more, and it gives you a complete picture. But then she said, okay, Avi, how do I do it? And I'm like, shoot, you have to have the data. I mean, if you weren't tracking this historically, you can't go back and make up that data. All right, so a bit of a story, but yeah, so I just simply say, so this is isn't this a lovely world? I mean, so if it's in the report, I think it's going to take me 5 minutes. If I need to create a measure, there are hard measures. I've struggled for days writing measures as well, but generally, it's easy. I'm like, yep, write a measure, quick, done, right? If it's to the source data, that can take me longer. That really depends. So I'm not gonna, maybe a few days, let's say that, right? So that's it. So it's not like, yeah, I don't think any model can answer any question you ever ask, but it's not about building that perfect model. It's about iterating really, really fast. So you build something which meets a big portion of your needs, 80% maybe, who knows, but then you always evolve. They'll ask more questions, they'll open more doors, and that's great. You want to encourage that. And on the back end, you're just, doing it really quick. Like, yep, create this report, create a new measure, pull in new data source if needed. Now, of course, guys, these numbers that I shared, they may or may not apply for large projects, because for large projects, it's not a matter of adding that measure. You would have some sort of version control, release management mechanism. So even if it takes you 15 minutes to do the measure, it's there in the test system you have to deploy. So I realize that in reality things can be slightly different, but in general, I would recommend moving on weekly sprints and such. So Robert, good question, good discussion there. Let me just kind of check in to see if anybody had any other thoughts on this. Okay, I see some other comments, but not around this. All right, let's go to the phone. So Manuel, I see that you have a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Let's see what you're talking about. Can we hear you?
Yeah, hi.
Awesome. So yes. Yeah.
So our business, we have thousands and thousands of customers, and the customers that are not covered, that are, where a seller isn't assigned, we do marketing campaigns with these customers, and now we've lost quite a few customers. And now the next question obviously would be, where do we lose these customers? And I thought maybe we can put in a range, a sales range. Did we lose the ones that spend between, X and Y, or did we only lose the little ones, or, like stuff like this. And
yeah.
I'm very, very much in the beginning here, phases of Power BI, and, I don't know what the root cause is. Is it the formula that doesn't work? Is it the data model, which is unfortunately a flattened one? So
yeah. Well, but before we even talk about Power BI, it sounds like you're trying to understand kind of customer churn, like where are we losing customer? Well, but what question are you specifically asking? Are you trying to understand that? Well, so just stay with me here for a second. So you can say that we know when the customer was created in our system, right? So, or signed up, had a first sale, whatever that event is, right? Let's start date, something like that, right? And I want to understand, typically, when do we lose them? Do we lose them in the first 10 days and they never come back, or like 10 to 100 or beyond, or something like that? So you can cluster like that, or you can look at different ways. So tell me specifically, like just one thing, like how are you trying to see the customers whom you lost? What question are you trying to ask?
No, I was just looking at it on a yearly basis, from 2014, 15, 16, 17, and now 2018 year to date.
Yeah. You do have kind of a, do you have a, so sometimes depending on your business, depending on transaction, like you may or may not have like a start and end date. I don't know, you might just have like first order and last order. So yeah, what information do you have for them? Do you just have like, you do have the first order and last order? Is that how you would, like how would you know that you've lost a customer? Wow, that's a good question to ask. That's a great question to ask. How do you know you've lost them?
Right. Yeah, we do have first order date and we have last order date.
But that doesn't stop them from coming in. Ooh, I just want to pause there, guys. So Manuel and everybody else watching, I mean, I have this phrase that I say that human learning comes before machine learning. And believe me, I do this all the time. And I have to break things down and make them really, really simple so I can understand it And it feels like once I do really understand it, kind of step by step, I can teach Power BI to do it, right? So it's sometimes like, oh, how do I do it in Power BI? It's not a Power BI question. It's like, let's break it down. Let's do the human learning. So Manuel, yeah, I mean, so I kind of tripped you up with that question. How do you know you've lost a customer? Let me phrase it differently. How would you define a lost customer? And I'll lead you on a little bit. You can say that if they haven't placed an order in the last year, they're lost, or set some time frame. You see what I'm kind of doing. And of course, you don't have to follow that definition, but let's, can you think of a working definition that we can put in place and say, hey, this customer is lost?
Yeah, I think a year is more than fair. Yeah. If they haven't transacted, in a year, that's probably lost.
Yeah. I'm also wondering, so of course that one feels a little fuzzy, and 1 year, that means you would be waiting quite a bit. I mean, so I'm thinking, so again, this is still that kind of the human learning portion. This is nothing to do with Power BI, but I'm thinking if we look at your customers, you can, and I'm thinking about kind of my kind of followers and all that stuff, and I'm trying to do this something similar. So it's easier to define who's active, right? So for you can say if you have ordered in the past month, you're active. Fair enough? Something like that, right? Again, you can always vary them. Let's go with active, right? And then we will say, I don't know, like the next step of active, like some active, I don't know, yeah, let's do inactive. So no orders in past month, right? And then we say lost. So we'll say no orders. Let's go with 6 months. I don't know. So your label master, now your business is not extremely high ticket, is it? Like, when they buy $10,000 worth of stuff. If it is that, then saying no orders in 1 year makes sense, because usually big purchases only happen once in a while, But if it's smaller ticket, then I would use a smaller time frame. Give me a sense. My understanding is that it's not huge transactions for your business, is it?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay,
for the uncovered for sure.
Got it. And of course, you could tweak it. You could set it to whatever you want. You could set it to 3 months, 1 year, it doesn't matter. And you could of course play with all of that and see how the model kind of works. So active, inactive, and lost. And oh boy, God! And so now I'm kind of seeing a little bit of how I might see it in Power BI. And I love mocking up stuff in Excel. So let's go that, because it's Excel plus Power BI, great combination. I mean, I use Excel every day. So yeah, so there are quite a few. So I will say that one way to, man, I have so many thoughts running. Let me just make sure I do all of them. So let's say that we say customer state. I say active, inactive, and lost. And here we see let's say January, February, something like that. Let's just do August. And ran between 1 and 100 times 5. Oops. And let's try it. Let's try. So we could do something like this. We could also, do it like a percentage, and that would, and again, you're just kind of playing with data right now. So what if we do like this? No, not that. This one, yes. So, and obviously this is like made up data, but yeah, so you can see kind of the overall trend, and in a real business it'll look more meaningful than this, right? And you can see, or you can see like portion that, oh, look, I mean, you know, folks really got inactive, like 80% of our clients were inactive in this month. Maybe that's a low month. And of course, there's so much packed in there because there can be business cycles. There can be months which are always slow. So how do you judge that? Well, you judge that by doing year-over-year comparisons. So this is an idea, and you can make it work. What I would recommend, though, is as a starting point, just map new customer. So similar to what we had here, but instead of doing active, inactive, just say new customer, existing customer. That is, yeah. So there's, so that one is much simpler to do. There's and you know, we can definitely. There's a lot of stuff online. If you Google this, like new customer in Power BI, there'll be like thousands of results on that. So this is a very standard pattern, easy to do. So that's why I'm feeling like this would be a good starting point. We just start to see how many new customers am I getting in that month, and how many were existing. And this will be with transactions, you know. So if they're kind of dead, then or lost, you wouldn't care. And this would be, I think you will find this really illuminating. So yeah, my recommendation would be start with this one, and then, you know, kind of peel the onion, go from there. What do you think? Does that sound like a good starting next step?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the start. I mean, what I did is I did a simple count. I think a distinct count of customers, and then,
yeah,
you know, and then I just saw that we lost, or that, you know, that the yearly counts were decreasing, and then I wanted to know, okay, like where, or like what types of customers are decreasing, you know, from a spend perspective. And that's where I really ran into difficulties with the DAX language.
Yeah. So that's good, though. That's really good. So let me think about that. I feel like that there can be two reasons for that. So again, it's all that human learning before machine learning kind of thing. So imagine, guys, so we start off with this, and let's say customer, and this is like a distinct customer count. And I know you did it by year, but for now, since I have the months, I'll just go with that. And so let's say we start with 100, 90, 80. Let's see if I can extend that. All right, quiz time. I think that there can be two underlying reasons why our customer count is declining. So Manuel, folks on the phone, folks on YouTube, what can be the underlying reason? And I'll give you a hint. It goes back to the sheet 2 that I created. Alex Powers, right? Thank you for that tip, man. Alt F1 to instantly create a chart. How cool is that? Let me try it. Bingo. Okay. All right. I won't tease you guys. So really that new, I'd really feel that the new and existing is important, because so you have a sales team, right? And well, and I'm not sure. So the sales team could have two jobs, or depending on how the organization is. So there are two roles. Let's talk about the roles first. The first role is to attract new customers. Who is involved in this? There could be a lot of people, right? There could be marketing. It could be their job, right? Of course, and when the customer finally does call, they're not going to speak to somebody in marketing. They're going to speak to like somebody in sales and talk about them. So attract new customers, definitely marketing and sales is involved. And then is keep existing customers. Who's involved there? I'm not sure. Sales sometimes is or is not involved. Sometimes some organizations like sales, no, my job is done. I made the sale, guys, and it is some kind of a like a operations or support or something like that. So the customer retention, they're focused on that. Sometimes sales is involved. So again, it would depend on organization. So when you see the story, the next question I want to ask in peeling the onion is that what really happened? It's possible that sales and marketing are still doing an amazing job. Amazing. You know, every month they're bringing in new customers, but operations and support is sucky for us. We're losing them. We're hemorrhaging, right? I mean, every month they call support, long lines, blah, blah, and they hate it and they quit. They quit. That could be one story. Or it could be that the operations and support is doing an amazing job. Our customers love us to death. But something is broken down in marketing and sales, and we're not getting a new line. And even though people love our support, there is churn anyway. You know, I mean, people, right? I mean, they could love my course and then still say, hey, Avi, whatever, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, so it could be other factors. There's always going to be like a churn in there. So Manuel, hopefully, so what do you think about this? So so this is a great starting point. You already took the first step, but I feel like the next question to ask in peeling the onion is that new versus existing. So see that trend, but to see that is the existing customer stable and we have dried up getting new customers, or we are getting maybe more and more new customers, but shoot, we're not retaining them, and that would give you a bit of a clue. What do you think?
Okay, cool. Let's try that.
Yes. And of course, peel the onion. Once you have that, then you say, then of course you will know, like, hey, so let's, for example, just go on assumption that you're saying our existing customers are losing. Then what you would say is, then you would do something like what I was talking about somewhere. I didn't draw a chart for that, but then you would, then what I would do is, I would try to figure out where the drop off is. So existing customers, we're losing them, but when are we losing them? Are we losing them in the first 10 days? Are we losing them in the next 90 days? Are we losing them beyond, right? And again, once, oh shoot, I totally messed it up. But 10 days, come on. 10 days, 90 days, man. Oh, come on. 10 days, 90 days, 90 plus, right? And imagine if you figured out, so next you saw the data and you said, oh, we're losing them in the first 10 days. Then you know exactly what you need to do. You need to update your onboarding process. So in my course, I started doing this welcome call where, man, you join my course, bloody hell, you get to talk to me for 15 minutes. Often those calls get longer because, I want to know you. I want to give you like a jump start in the course. So if you were losing them right away, you would think something like that. But maybe that's not the problem. So again, data will guide you. Right? It's like a giant nested if then else. That's what we're doing here. You would say, oh, we're losing them in the 90 days. Well, what's happening? Well, they placed the first order, but they don't place a second order. And maybe that's the differentiator. And maybe you also say that the folks we lost in the 90 days, or you say in the, some kind of another level where you say how many orders did they have. And you say, most of these, they place the first order, don't place the second one. If they do place a second order, then they are much less likely to cancel or go away, right? So then you focus on the second order. You engage your sales team and say, guys, I know you bloody hell made the sales. Kudos to you. Thumbs up. Awesome. We're going to give you the bonus. But you also need to just check back with the customer and just make them the second sale. So now you set up KPIs, drive that, tie that to forms or whatever. And now, of course, if the other story is 90 plus, well, yeah, you have a different scenario. But yeah, man, I mean, isn't it? I mean, I'm just drooling at the thought of this process. So, Manuel, I'm slightly jealous of you, my friend, because I can kind of see this journey, this data-driven journey you're going to walk on, and I think it's going to be so fun. All right, but step at a time, okay?
Cool. Thanks.
All right, man. Yeah, this is going to be so cool. So yeah, you already have the starting point. Let's do new and existing. Find that out and then break that down even more. All right, let's go to I was going to say Facebook. I'm not watching Facebook. I'm watching YouTube chat. Who is here? Ravi Joshi says hello. Forever BB fan is saying audio is gone. Hey, if you can hear me on YouTube, just ping back, one of you. Yeah, Alex Powers, thanks for your tip, man. All right, so... Oh, yeah. So Mukesh is saying there's one tutorial on... well, there's a tutorial on my channel. So, folks, if you haven't, everybody should, on my channel, hit the subscribe button, click the bell, of course, so you know when I go live. But there's a Power BI tutorial, and Mukesh is saying that there's one step which is really fast. So let's go to that one. I don't remember. 151. Create reports. And he's saying, hey, I can't follow that. And of course, hindsight is 2020. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I'll tell you my idea behind it. Let's see if I can find the part which is kind of sped up. Is it this one? I'm not sure. Oh, I explain how to do it, and then I go in berserker mode. Let's see. Not yet. Where is it? I think in the later. Yeah, so this is sped up. This is like 3 times fast. So for one, you can try slowing it down by the speed setting. 0.25. But I'll tell you why I did that fast. Because I feel, let's actually write it down. This is a good stopping point, I think. 0051 21 Mukesh. And the discussion that I want to do is art plus science. So in this video, I show you kind of the science part of like, hey, here's how to create a visual. You know, you click this and you click that, and then you have a card, and then this is how you do a chart. So I show you the science part in my mind, and I don't remember if I said it, in the video, but in my mind, what I did next, which is at like 3 times the speed or something, is the art portion of it. It's the art portion. So I'm like saying, hey guys, this doesn't matter. I mean, every artist is unique. You're gonna approach it differently. So it's not about that. And I've already shown you. So I'm just gonna give you like my version of the art. So yeah. So that was the intention behind it. Clearly, that didn't work out because people do ask me about that. But I do believe that's true. That visualization is art plus science. And I somehow got roped into teaching a data visualization course at University of Washington. It was kind of happenstance. I did enjoy the experience, although I feel like I learned more than I taught. But that was great. Yeah, my guru there, half of you like already know, Stephen Few, I swear by him. And you only need one book. He has some other ones. I don't think you need it. And this one is an old book, but I think it's a classic, and you should get the print version. It's a beauty to hold. I have it up here somewhere. Yeah, it's just beautiful to look at. Online version kind of would be a little awkward. All right, cool. So let's take a question from... on YouTube, if you have a question, post it in. I'll read through some of your comments. So Alex is saying, I hosted our St. Louis Power BI user group meetup this past week. I was a presenter as well, gave some good tips on using measurement tables in Power BI templates. Boy, well, thanks for the tips. I'm not sure I gave those tips. Those don't ring a bell. I rarely use Power BI templates. I might have mentioned it. So hey, if I helped you in any way, great. I'm glad. All right, awesome. So let's see. So if I don't see a new one, I'll scroll back to the last question asked. Ooh. So the last question I see is Nolly Booger? Nolly. Boy, my kids would have loved that. All right, let's see. 005417. And we have Nolly in the house. And he's asking, and I might need help with this one, my friends. Oops. first of all, why are you looking to do this in Power BI? I mean, is it like a, like, I don't want to dismiss it, but is it like just like a kind of a project? I wonder if I can do that in Power BI, or is it a real business need for this? And while we have Nolly comment on that, let's see if, hey, on the phone, or there are flights live updates in a map. In a map, I'm not sure about a map. I think I get the live updates part, live updates, and the way I would do that, it would be powerbi.com. There we go. And I'll admit, I haven't actually done it ever. I've seen demos and stuff, so again, I might need some help. I might stumble a few times. But what I'm looking for is like a real-time data set. Real-time data set. How do I say my workspace? Create. Streaming data set. So that's how I would do that. I frankly can't even go any further. I have no idea what's going to happen after I click these. Actually, I mean, I have some idea, but I don't think I'll make it. So streaming data set. So live updates, you can get through a streaming data set. Now the question is, can you show that on a map? I'm not sure about that. I feel like if you didn't have a limitation about live updates, then I would have said yes, because then I would have had I would be doing it in Power BI desktop, and I feel at home there. There are a lot of custom visuals. I'm pretty sure one of them would allow you to do this. So I would be hopeful. But with the live data set, I think it, yeah, you may be able to. Yeah, I don't think I would have a better answer than that unless somebody on the phone. So is there any visualization for flights? Let's check that out. Gosh, so by the way, guys, I did decide. So I am, if you look at my dashboards, Stephen Few fan, and I really believe simple is good, and that would be my advice to you. So, guys, I mean, seriously, I mean, I have, worked with companies all over the board, small, medium, large, startups, every sector, and I know that the work I've done has made tremendous impact. I mean, probably saved them millions or generated new revenue or savings, same thing, millions or hundreds of $1 million in some cases, right? So these things can be very impactful, but I swear by the simple stuff. So, kind of tables, and there are a few variations of tables. There's tables, matrix, card, multi-row card. They're all kind of, they just show numbers, right? So that's that. Column, bar charts, trend charts, that's it, and slicers. And that is often, doesn't matter what level, how much they're paying me, that's what I build. So I'm wary of the custom visuals. So again, if you do follow Stephen Few, he talks about like less bling. You don't need the bling. It feels like oh, it's such a fancy dashboard and looks like $1 million, but it's not very effective. So it's tempting, but I try not to go there. I try to kind of follow Stephen Few. But there are some which are really useful, and depending on scenario. So what I'm trying to say is that should be, use it with care. So I don't know, flight map, something, flight. Let's see, flight has anything? No, not really. Let's see, what kind of maps do we have? Global map. Oh, flow map. Look at that. What do you think? Huh? That looks interesting. Can we? Well, maybe not. I'm not sure. Can you adapt that to a flight? Let's go back. So flow map, route map. Doesn't look like flights. Maybe it would work. I don't know. So you can. I would say you can play around with it. China is really popular. 3 different visuals there. Synoptic panel, custom maps, heat map, drill down, Meco, blah, 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 blah. I think the only ones that I saw which could hold promise for you, Nolly, is flow map and route map. I can't promise anything, but check that out. Yeah, and I know you're trying to show it on a map, but what I would say is that map is perhaps the number one abused visual that I've seen, including me, like right here in this demo, is that I really question like why are we showing it on a map? Like so, frankly, maps are not are usually very hard to read, right? So unless you do want to see like geographically, and then there's no replacement for that. Like, dude, I wanna look at this neighborhood, zoom in and see those dots, right? So you want that, you need that perspective, and that perspective is gonna somehow give you that insight, right? So I don't know, maybe like where do we place a new store or something like that, right? Even then, even that question can be answered in a simple table where you show all the counties, all the cities, and you do measures. So the question that you're trying to answer by showing it on a map, like I don't know, maybe it can be answered in a different way. So probably not. I know you have a specific scenario, but certainly general advice for others: be careful of maps. I know sometimes, and again, I admit I put them on there just to make it look pretty, but yeah, that's it's not a right approach. All right, terrific. Let's check in on the phone. So yeah, Florent. Florent, I haven't heard from you.
Hey, Avi.
Hey, my friend. How's it going?
Good. Yeah,
right.
just plowing away with Power BI. It's
All right.
getting more and more interesting.
Tell me something new that you learned, relearned, discovered, or something in Power BI.
Well, there's the pivot problem. You fixed, and we went over. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun because now I am just every step of the process has been more enjoyable.
Yes.
From getting the data in the query editor, and then all the way up to the visual. It's been a fun, more and more fun as I go along. So at work, I'm constantly on Power BI and ramping up, and I'm able to produce more reports in less time. And then at home, I go on different data sets and have fun on my own time with more sports data or whatever.
Yeah, how fascinating!
And it's definitely been helping this learning curve. Yeah.
Wow, you're totally into it, and I love that. Yeah, so of course I give this advice to kind of my students and followers that yeah, you gotta enjoy the journey, and I'm glad you are. You did say it kind of gets easier. I do feel that Power BI. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to think back about my own journey, but I do see others, and it feels like this is the journey they go through. And maybe you can tell me if it's kind of right, where it feels super easy to begin with. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just having fun with visuals. But then you start hitting walls, and usually these walls are modeling challenges where these people don't have any idea what they're doing, or DAX challenges or query challenges, and then it feels so frustrating. But if you do round that corner, it does become easier and easier. And of course, my goal in the course has been to, I think the curve remains, but hopefully smooth it out a little bit. Does it feel like that? Is it like it starts off easy, then you start hitting walls, but then it does seem like you're on the other side of it? Does it feel like that?
Yeah, I mean it's experimenting. I think sometimes it's hard to cut. Sometimes I have to take. Okay, well, I mean there are like some problems. I run into problems in DAX.
Yeah.
And then I see like in my mind I have 3-4 ways out of it, right?
Beautiful.
And so number 1 I get stuck, number 2 I get stuck, number 3 I get stuck, and number 4 it ends up working. But questions bring more questions, and it's even though it can be it's a bit frustrating at times because it can be time consuming, but I always feel like you are. I am learning, and
Yeah.
I can use. I could leverage this in a different data set or in a different report. You're faced with similar. I guess after a while, patterns start to repeat.
Yeah.
And once you've asked yourself this question before, you have a go-to solution, or oh yeah, I've seen this problem. This is how I fixed it last time. So
Beautiful. Man, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I would totally kind of agree with that. So I would say I think I fare better when it comes to Power BI, where so I often when I'm like working on something, if it's something challenging, something doesn't work, instead of getting frustrated, I almost get more excited because I feel
yeah,
like I'm playing the detective. I seriously, I should keep around like a Sherlock Holmes hat or something and put it on like, oh, how fun, and let's solve this mystery. So I'll share a really quick story. So this was my friend Summer. He's based in Brazil. And well, when I say friend, he just pinged me on Facebook. And he said, Avi, we're really struggling with this row level security and it's not working. And he said it's working in Excel, but not in Power BI. And, of course, that was a little puzzling. So we got in there and we did some work and we figured out that it wasn't what it seemed to be. It wasn't working in Excel or in Power BI. But I got so excited at that point, and I shared it with him. So that, hey, dude, there was a kind of a dead body lying there. We walked in, and there was I don't know, a set of high heels or something, and we thought the murderer was a woman, right? But that was just just there to throw us off. Now we know that that wasn't the case, right? So even finding something that's not working, like I get excited. So in Power BI, I'm usually good there, and I say, yep, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, be the detective. But the area where I still have to master it, and it's a daily journey for me, is in my business. So I want to have the same feeling in my business, where instead of feeling frustrated or saying why doesn't it work and I want it now and blah 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 and putting all that pressure on me, I want to enjoy that, and I say, oh, how fun. Oh, this didn't work. Great. Let me try that. And I do some of that, but yeah, it's always you're always kind of keeping a check on that. Thanks, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good kind of frustrating, but sometimes at work you feel more pressure to deliver, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's more exploring. How much time do I spend exploring and
Yeah.
versus putting out an MVP version of the report and then checking back some other time. I mean,
Yeah. That is great. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for sharing that.
no problem.
All right, guys, let's check in on YouTube. And that was Florent from Montreal. He's part of the Learn Power BI family. Good to have you guys here. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. Hey, if you have a question on Facebook, do post it. Yeah, Robert is saying, I think I'm still on the curve upwards. Sometimes the simplest things about merging tables data to produce the correct results, then get the measures feels so difficult. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see their telltale signs. So one of them is really clear, which is they say it was so easy in Excel, or some variation of that. It's like, oh man, I mean, I could do this in Excel in my sleep and all that stuff. And version like I knew how to do it in Excel, but here it's so hard. And that's frankly, I think that's a test, my friend. Either you're gonna make it. You know how in the hero stories, I'm thinking, oh gosh, where what was a book that I don't know, Harry Potter, right? So Harry Potter, he gets challenged in every series, in every story, and it's a test. There comes a moment where your next choice kind of decides everything. Seriously, and if you are hitting one of these points, let me write down then you are at that point, and you can go one of two ways. You can go back. I've seen that. Well, they go back to the same world, right? Same old, and they say, oh, that was so easy. Or you can move forward, sometimes with some help, right? So sometimes it just helps to have somebody hold your hand, and of course that's what I try to do through my course, right? You move forward. But the thing is that, so I'm from India, and I've been here many years now, and when I think about India, I think about this with these rose-colored glasses. So I'm actually traveling to India this December, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And the food is awesome there. I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to see my family. It's going to be amazing. But inevitably, when I do step in there, it kind of hits me. It hits me hard at times, like, whoa, what is this place? I mean, why is it so crowded? Why are people like getting in my face? They don't quite have the concept of personal space. So they really get in your face. So all of these small things, they pop up, right? So that is kind of what's happening here. So the truth is, and when I say Excel, let me qualify and say old Excel. So the modern Excel has all the strength of Power BI built in, right? Everybody who's used that knows it. Power Pivot, Power Query, it's the same thing. It's the Power BI built into Excel. So I'm talking about this old Excel. It actually wasn't that great. It was actually really sucky. I mean, the old Excel had a string of challenges. It was hard to clean shape and transform data. I was always doing all this manual stuff and macros and all that stuff. It was hard to kind of define calculations because there was no measure. There was no magic of DAX measure, which you define once and use everywhere. You had like a spaghetti of formulas, right? I mean, this refers to that cell and that refers to this workbook and all that stuff, all that nastiness, craziness. It was a horrible world. But you have the same rose-colored lenses effect that I have with India, where right now you're kind of struggling into a few things in Power BI, and now when you look back, you say, oh man, it was so easy in Excel. It actually wasn't, So the key here, the key that I've seen here, and we were talking about the growth mindset, fixed mindset, I see people who continue to use Power BI like Excel. And they were used to doing things a certain way in Excel, and some of the symptoms are that I see them building reports, not model. And there's a difference. I wouldn't even step into it right now. It's such a huge topic. I've talked about it often. It's on my channel as well. Check out my data modeling videos. Right? So, but yeah, so they're building reports, and they keep getting stuck. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. They're making their lives incredibly hard. It helps to please flow downstream, swim with the flow. Swim with the flow. So you're thrashing, trying to go upstream, and it feels hard. Once you switch that, and again, I'm not saying it's easy. Actually, I would say it's first you gotta kind of change how you approach it, right? So as long as you think it's hard, it's always going to be hard, my friend. Always, seriously, it's never going to become easy for you. So it starts there. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you gotta stop yourself from that. So instead of saying it's hard, like, oh, what an adventure. So but once you do make that switch, it becomes easier. Yeah, I'm not sure if that helped any. I'm like, well, what? Avi, come on, man. Just tell me some DAX tricks. But I think that's important stuff. All right, let's see. So let's do one more. Oh, you got some. So let's see if we can solve something on. Take a question from there, because this was not really a question. This was me ranting. Sorry. I'll write that down as well. If you think it's hard, you're done for, my friend. It will always, forever remain challenging for you. Okay. All right, let's see what we got. So Nicholas had an interesting one, but I see one from Robert. Wow. So Nicholas. So since I think we talked to Robert earlier. Oh, he had a general question. So Robert, I do see a question, but I want to switch to Nicholas. So tell me more. How does sum time duration? Okay. All right. Let's try that. So let's go to our trusty Excel, and maybe let's try this. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. This is the challenge that I shared on Facebook. I actually talked about it. I didn't really share, which was presented in my Power BI user group, and I loved it because it was one of those problems which was easy. It looked easy, but I think it was hard. All right. So what if we have? We don't want that here. Let's go. Here. Mike Schlosser. I'm probably messing up his last name, but he's the one who had this question. It did have time entry, so I was thinking maybe kill two birds with one stone. And I'm also going to check to make sure. I have stayed on too long in this call at times and missed my next appointment. But hey, guys, thank you for, you've heard me talk about it. The quality of this call is determined by the quality of questions you ask. So, and you guys often bring great questions. Love that. Thank you. Truly appreciate that. And yeah, I love the community. I see sometimes people kind of helping each other. So we do have time here. Let's see. Let's just, I'm wondering if I can take that to Power BI and just try things out. Yeah. So Nicholas, is it only hours, minutes, seconds, or does it have date as well? I don't think it matters much. I'm assuming if it's only hours, minutes, seconds, then it never crosses the day boundary, right? So obviously that would be the only challenge if you have hours, minutes, seconds, or you have maybe a date in a separate table. So tell me a little bit about that. But I think either way we can solve it. But time span. Time span. Let's edit it. Separate column is the date. Okay, I would probably combine it. Otherwise, you're gonna, like if you have a timestamp which says 11:59 p.m. and then the next one says 12:01 a.m. and you try to subtract the two, it'll be weird, right? It wouldn't work. So for now, I'm gonna go with the assumption that you can combine it, right? So let's go with that. Oh, you did paste it in there. Cool. We'll take a look at that, but I think I have like a working data set. Hopefully it'll suffice. And I'm thinking just A minus B. So let's see this as a table. This one weird. Let's do slice, created date, working date. Is there a way to turn this off where it does not create the date hierarchy? Oh, actually there is, right? Oh, dang it. I don't like this feature, but I think unfortunately you can turn it off, but the setting is on a file basis. It's not a global basis. So current file. Yeah, this auto date and time. I really wish that this was like a global setting because I don't like it. Anyway, okay, we're back here and D. And then we go size. Okay, let's try it. I'm going to add some meat to the data. All right, guys, almost there. And oh, interesting. Oh shoot, yeah, this thing it didn't detect it as time. Let me fix that. Why didn't it do that? That's weird. Would it work as a date time? Oh, it did work. That's weird. Somehow it didn't auto detect. Okay, I think we're all set. So we have this data, and what if we do? Let me do this. So what if we say I wanna define a measure which will say time elapsed equals work. Why isn't it auto-completing? That's weird. Huh, let me try again. You can see I'm kind of helpless without autocomplete. But time elapsed equals... I'm kind of baffled. Why? Time elapsed equals... Time elapsed equals sum x times span. Sum x times span. And we're going to do work end date minus created date. Okay, and how would we... So this is in days. Why? I want to show it in... I don't get it. I'm not really sure. Why is it in... I expected a number. Oh, okay. Alright, so now it's showing it in days. Let's see if it kind of seems right. 43 to 45 is 1.89 days. Sounds about right. 27 to 28 is less than a day. Makes sense. Cool. So, yeah, would something like this help? And, of course, you can... you can slice and dice. It's a measure, so you should be able to slice and dice it, project it, trend it, however you want. So tell me if that kind of helps at all, or maybe I was off. And if I was off, I'll come back and look at your actual file and see what's going on there. Hopefully that works. All right, let's go back to the phone. So Steve, Manuel, Heather, Florent, if you guys had anything, go ahead and ask. All right, otherwise on YouTube, Nicholas, do let me know if this works, if this helped. Or I was like, no, Avi, you went off on a tangent, man. What are you doing? Just stop it. Then let me know that way too. And if anybody else had any question, let me know as well. Now, Sam has a question which I don't have an answer to. So, is it possible to connect Cosmos stream data without providing account key in Power BI? Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. I can try to check. And although that reminds me that, Hey, Sam, what happened with the custom connector that you had that wasn't working? I think I may have forgotten. Sometimes I write an email and I forget to send it, and then I think I've sent it. But I feel like I tried to connect you with somebody on, I think, the Microsoft team. So if I remember, you had a custom connector for TFS, was it? And it stopped working with an update. I do want to hear from you if that got working or not. Okay, so Nicholas says it should be working. All right, guys. So I didn't hear any questions on the phone. I didn't see any new thing on YouTube. So I'll take off. But yeah, I'll be back next week, just to share with you kind of stuff that's going on in my life. So I'm part of this business community, entrepreneurs community, and guys, this has been the hardest thing I've done. Running my own business, like, oh my God, this is crazy. But if you talk to people who are entrepreneurs, they will tell you that it is crazy. It's not for everybody, but it's also extremely rewarding. And of course, that was proven true. Like, just Steve kicking us off at that. It just was so. So Marco Polo, one of my favorite series on Netflix, in one of the characters there uses this phrase, and he says, "My heart is full." He sees that to his girlfriend mostly, and yeah, I feel like my heart is full. I mean, I feel so full of gratitude and yeah, thankfulness for everything that I get. And sometimes people like thank me, and I get like, oh, Avi, hey, dude, send me your PayPal address. I want to send you something. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do anything, because this is your gift to me, right? Just being able to connect with you, impact your lives in some way. That is gift enough. In fact, it's the best gift that I could ever ask for. So next week, it's been challenging. Next week we are doing like a conference that's going to be about 60 to 80 folks, and I really enjoy hanging out in the community because they are such inspirational folks. And what I love about that, and again, it's kind of those mindset things, right? Where if I look around, I know when I was starting out, I was really scared. I'm like, why would people want to listen to me? There are these experts, Power BI experts all over the world, right? So you get that feeling. You might get that feeling too, where you feel like the whole world has been discovered, right? I mean, there's nothing left. It's just all been done. And so you struggle with that. But then I meet these other entrepreneurs, and pretty much any niche vertical you can imagine, there's somebody there for that. There are people who teach yoga. There are people who teach mindset. There are physiotherapists. Well, I'm all giving one example on one side. But yeah, they're like Facebook experts, marketing folks, this, that, a lot of different entrepreneurs. And what you would see is that, like, take yoga. There are lots and lots of people to teach yoga. But man, there are some who are just doing it at a wholly different scale. So just get to meet them, just get to be in their company. That's incredibly powerful. So yeah, next week is going to be kind of my recharge week, but I am back Friday, and we're going to hang out again. All right, my friends, until next time, power on.